You know, things are going bad when the Philadelphia 76ers have more wins in the past week than you do as a handicapper, and that's the situation I'm facing right now. Yesterday, of course, here at the site and on the video report, I talked about Trace Adams having his second straight 2,000 star double your wager game of his career in college basketball in his 11 and a half years here at the site. And he was on Wisconsin. I wanted to do this video report today to accept full responsibility for cursing and jinxing that play because I, of course, had a small play on Wisconsin last night. And you know the Badgers, a 4-point favorite, lost outright at home to Duke. And I am the reason that Trace Adams lost because last night's loser on Wisconsin means I have now lost 7 straight days, which was preceded by a 4-day winning streak, which, of course, leads me to say once again that every time I go into a skid over the 20 years I've been doing this, my wife will often say, well, what are you doing differently now than before? Nothing. Nothing. Guys, listen, this is gambling. There's no guarantees. And I got to be honest with you. This is no different than a baseball player going through a slump. You know, a pitcher that can't locate his fastball. A hitter that suddenly, after batting .330 for the first half of the season, goes into an inexplicable 1 for 34 slump. It happens. And that's why you've got to never celebrate the wins or lament the losses. But the 76ers won last night, so I'm going to dedicate this next week to trying to pick up one stupid win. FYI, I'm glad the 76ers won last night. You know, the first time I followed the NBA, and it was not obviously not a good time to start following the NBA. The first time I started as a kid following the NBA was the 1972-73 season when the 76ers, of course, went 9-73. Matter of fact, first game I ever saw was a game that year with the 76ers against the Cincinnati Royals and Oscar Robertson at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And I knew who the Big O was, and he wasn't the Big O of 10 years earlier, but he was still an impressive player on the court. But yes, those 76ers, Leroy Ellis and Tom Van Arsdale and John Block and John Trapp and Freddie Boyd. I mean, you just couldn't ask for a better team than that. Yeah, you know, things could only get better when you start watching that team as the first time you ever watched basketball. And people want to know why I was a Lakers fan when I was a kid. Well, they had Jerry West. They had Gil Goodrich. You know, they had Wilt for a while. I mean, the 76ers, they had Manny Leaks coming off the bench. You know, it just didn't work that well. Anyway, we move forward here. I've got a number of complimentary plays for you coming up here in just a moment. Matter of fact, hell with it. Let's get into it right now. Listen, you can check all your discounts, all your promos, all that kind of good stuff over on the home page. And if you have not yet made a contribution for the Charity Play of the Week, which you got a winner the other night, please do so. And remember, today is the last day of that one promotion, which after a charity play wins, I give you the option to save $125 off the purchase price of any 30-day handicappers package here at the site, simply by using coupon code SAVE125. And listen, if you happen to be in the middle of a long-term package with a particular handicapper, well, if you have 8 days left, you add another 30, you'll have 38 days left. And if you have an instant rebate applicable, that works too. So save $125 off the purchase of any 30-day package with Save 125, or you can save $50 off the purchase price of any 7-day package by using coupon code SAVE50. Hell, a 30-day package will get you right through the end of the NFL regular season and the bulk of the bowl games as well. Okay, let's get busy here tonight. As I said, all your other promos, etc., are over on the homepage. Let's talk about this game between the Cowboys and the Bears tonight. I'm looking at the total of 51 points. Okay, last year when these two met, Josh McCown was the quarterback for the Bears at the time. Bears scored on their first 8 possessions. 45-28, easy win for them, soaring over the posted price. Well, now the Cowboys' defense is certainly better than last year's unit, which was dead last in the NFL, but it ain't that much better. And the fact is, the Bears still have the same quality wide receivers who have height over the same guys playing in the secondary that the Cowboys had a year ago. And the Cowboys on defense are minus their best pass-protecting linebacker who used to drop into coverage and play well. That, of course, is Sean Lee. So I suddenly see the Bears tonight with Jay Cutler, who certainly has been erratic, being able to put points on the board. Because Cutler, when given time, can still pick apart a defense. It's when he's harassed. It's when he's pressured. And the Cowboys don't get much pressure. I think they only have 21 sacks on the entire season. So I think Cutler's going to be able to exploit Dallas's defensive woes. And I think Matt Forte will have success running against this Cowboys team that you saw on Thanksgiving Day was absolutely shredded by the Philadelphia Eagles. And considering Forte and the Bears' last loss, they only gave them the ball 5 times on that Thanksgiving Day game where they took the double-digit early lead with the first 2 scores of the game in the first quarter and then managed to lose to the Lions. They only ran them 5 times. To say Forte is rested and healthy would be an understatement. But the Cowboys are also a better team than they were last year offensively because this year they have a run game. They've got DeMarco Murray. Now, did DeMarco's streak of 100-yard rushing efforts come to an end against Philadelphia on Thanksgiving? Yes, it did. But he should certainly be able to get the ball and have success against this porous Bears defense. But where Chicago really suffers on defense is their pass defense because it's pretty much non-existent. So Tony Romo, who did not have a big game or even a good game against the Eagles on Thanksgiving, should rebound in this one. So a Bears defense that allowed Detroit's Matthew Stafford to throw for 390 yards, allowed the Lions to gain 474 yards, and a defense that is ranked 30th in the league when defending the pass, allowing opposing quarterbacks to complete 65.6% of their completions for 27 touchdowns. That's the most given up by a secondary in the league this year versus only 11 interceptions. I think Romo and Des Bryant and Witten, etc., they're going to be able to exploit that. That's why I think this one soars over the posted total. I thought that at 51 it was a joke. I thought it should have been at least 55 because I think these two teams combined for somewhere in the 60s tonight. So I like that game to go over the posted price. Let's talk about the college football game that most people are overlooking. It's East Carolina taking on Central Florida. East Carolina, a 7-point favorite in their home finale. This is a senior-laden squad, and no better 2 seniors to talk about than their quarterback, Shane Carden, who this year only has 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and his number 1 wide receiver, Justin Hardy, who with 2 more catches tonight will have 100 for the season, and he's already over 1,190 yards in receiving. Central Florida has a very good defense, no ifs, ands, or buts. But I don't think Central Florida has faced anybody like East Carolina. And the Pirates, listen, you can point out that they have failed to cover 6 of their last 7 games, but that is also because the lines that they were asked to cover were simply ridiculous. In this game, I think it comes down to a battle with the quarterbacks. And I'd rather have my money on East Carolina at home with Shane Carden with all his offensive weapons than a guy in Justin Holman who took over the starting job early in the season and has had some good games and has had some bad games. Remember the 4 interception performance when they lost at Connecticut? I mean, how do you lose to Connecticut? How do you lose to Connecticut this season? So Central Florida, maybe that's their only blip on their schedule, their only hiccup after opening the season in Dublin, Ireland, and losing to Penn State on the last-second field goal and then getting hammered in Missouri when Missouri's quarterback, Matty Mock, threw 4 touchdown passes. He only completed 14 to 24 passes in the game, and he had 4 touchdown strikes in there. So I do like East Carolina minus the points in this one. And then finally, in college basketball, I think the best game on the board is West Virginia minus the points at home against LSU. This is a rested Mountaineers team that's been idle since Saturday. Meanwhile, you had LSU coming off a huge revenge blowout win at home against Massachusetts on Tuesday night. Not much of a recovery time here for LSU. I mean, you got to go the next day, fly from Baton Rouge to Morgantown. You know, they don't have a lot of direct flights from Baton Rouge to Morgantown. You know what I mean? And you got a rested West Virginia team that's off to a 7-0 start, playing defense this year, unlike last year. And every single one of those wins have been by double-digit margins. Now, UMass played into LSU's hands the other night because the Minutemen like to play up-tempo, and consequently, point guard Josh Gray had a career-high 25 points in that up-tempo style. West Virginia is not going to play up-tempo here, okay? West Virginia is going to hound LSU defensively up and down the floor. Massachusetts press actually had some success against the Tigers the other night. This is a West Virginia team that is averaging 23 turnovers forced per game. That is averaging almost 14 steals per game. And West Virginia has a very deep bench. Now, LSU is the better rebounding team. They have more size up front, okay? But again, it comes down to that ability to handle the pressure on the road that West Virginia is going to throw at them. Again, Massachusetts forced LSU into 19 turnovers in that game the other night. So I think it's going to be close in the first half, but ultimately I think that West Virginia's depth and their defensive intensity and the home court advantage against a road-weary LSU team pays dividends. And that's why I'm willing to lay the double digits with West Virginia tonight. So West Virginia in college hoops, East Carolina in college football, and I like the Dallas-Chicago game to go over the posted price. Best of luck to you guys, and I'll catch you again on Friday when we do this again.